Today we're going to do the handover video on the Chausson Travel Line 711. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming to the passenger side, opening this up. Firstly, your bonnet release catch is just located on your passenger side, which is here, which I'm just going to open now. Whilst I'm here as well, you've got your tyre pressures, which are on the door sill, just there. And then next to that, on the outside of the vehicle, you've also got your fill-up point, which is diesel. You'll also notice that you've got your Emm-Bee cab blinds, which are fitted to this model. You've got, they're located on each of the side of the windows and also at the front here. To operate this, simply pinch the clip and then pull out. Lead from the bottom, and then using the magnetised strip that allows them to connect, just like so. I typically find that with the Emm-Bee cab blinds, it's a lot easier if you lead from the bottom, as I say, and clip them onto the side, just like that, rather than pulling from the top, because they can get caught. Once you've done that, simply send them back like so, and clip them in, like that. That's the exact same for the front, and as a rule of thumb, what we say is it feels like it's being forced or, you know, getting caught, you're probably doing something wrong, just reevaluate what you're doing. And that's, as I say, a rule of thumb for anything in the vehicle. If it does feel like it's being forced, you're probably doing something wrong. So, just moving under the bonnet. Under the bonnet, to be fair, there's not many things that you need to know. I'm just going to lift it up just to show you just the basics. With the bonnet lifted, you'll be able to see obviously your engine oil, your brake disc fluids and things like that. But the main thing underneath here that you need to know is if you're ever needing to jump start the vehicle. If that is the case, you've got your negative point, which is on here, and then your positive point is just underneath this cap here. On the cap it has a positive sign here, so you know obviously where it's located. To pop that cap up, all you need to do is get the bottom of your key and just lever it up, just like so, which I'll do now for you. Once that clip's released, you can then obviously flick it open and then connect your positive point, which is onto there. Moving over, just to point over, you know, a couple things for you. You've got your engine coolant, which is here, your engine oil rather, which is there, with your dipstick, which is just below. You then got your brake disc fluid, that's your engine coolant, which is there, your power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, which is just in there. And that's everything really which you need to know underneath the bonnet. Moving to the other side of the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got your awning on this side. With your awning, all you need to do with this is you've got a winder, which is here. You've got a pole, which will then connect onto the winder, and then you can simply wind out the awning. You've got two legs which are in the awning, which you'll simply drop down, undo the clips, and let it take the weight. You'll then angle the legs like so, and then simply wind it out and walk it out. And it's the vice versa for when sending it back in. With your awning, on a day like today, it's the perfect sort of you know, weather conditions to use your awning. It's not raining, so it's dry, and there's no wind. We typically find that if there's any wind, try avoid using it, because as you can imagine, it's like a massive sail. So if any wind gets underneath there, it's just going to blow off and potentially injure someone and also break your van, so just bear that in mind. Moving round, you've got obviously one of your habitation doors on this side, and then you've got something called your convenience locker, which is located here on this side of the vehicle. In here you've got your fresh water tank and also your fuses and everything. Now you've got two stickers here. You've got one which indicates your fresh water fill-up point, and then one underneath there which indicates your drain down point for your fresh water. So firstly, before I move into your convenience locker, I'm going to show you your freshwater drain down point, which is underneath the vehicle. Coming underneath the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got two pipes underneath here. You've got one blue pipe, which is here, and then you've got a pipe which is connected onto with a white component there. So this firstly is typically usually confused for that. That is your breather pipes. The longer pipe is your breather pipe. That doesn't require anything on it, just leave that as it is. As I say, that's a breather pipe. That white pipe here now is for your wastewater. So to drain down this, all you've got to do is turn this here to then open the tank, and then this will drain down the entire system. And as I say, this is for your fresh water. Your wastewater is further down below, which I'll show you in a minute, but as I say, your fresh water's there. And as a rule of thumb with your drain down points, what we say is leave them open when travelling, because at the end of the day it's just water which will be draining out the van, and that makes sure that, you know, the vibrations of the road are going to get all the water out for you. And yeah, and that's where it's located. So dead simple. Coming back up, I'm now going to open this locker up for you so you can I can show you what's located in here. With the locker open, firstly you've got your freshwater tank, which is in here. By pulling this out, that allows you to simply unscrew this. You can then put your hose pipe in and fill up the freshwater tank. With this freshwater tank, it'll hold approximately 120 litres, and as I say, filling up, simply pull that out, hose pipe in, and then fill it up. When it's coming out, obviously you know that you've filled up the tank. You'll also notice a bigger cap here. This is just for cleaning it, so if you wanted, you can clean the system just by removing this cap. To slide that back in, just connect that back into there, and to drain down this system, as I say, just straight underneath the van. Now you'll notice also a brown clip here, which I can flick up and flick down like so, which is just there. Now what that's for is if you've got, as I say, 120 litres in here and you want to drain down the entire system to 20 litres. So for example, if you're travelling with water, they recommend travel with 20 litres because of weight distribution and payload. So if you're doing that, it'll allow you to do that, to drain down the whole system to 20 litres. In essence, it's a quick drain down point. However, if you are doing that, what you need to do is simply pull up on this lever here, then go onto the inside of the vehicle and select your pump on, and that'll allow you to dump all the water out to 20 litres. On this side, you've also got, as I mentioned before, your fuses and your RCD breaker. Your fuses are on this side here, and then your RCD breaker is here. So if the vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this box here. That concludes the convenience locker and everything to it. Next to there, you've then got your hookup point. So when you're on site for electric, you've got your hookup point there. And then moving on, you'll notice that you've got another one of these stickers here, which is indicated here, and this is for your wastewater drain down point. You've got three main drain down points in the vehicle. You've got your fresh water, which I've shown you, which is over there. You then got your wastewater, which I'm about to show you, and then you've got your boiler drain down point, which is on the inside of the vehicle, which I'll show you once we move on to the interior. For your wastewater, you'll notice that you have this pull here, this lever. You simply pull that, that'll then allow the entire system to drain down. As you can see, nothing's coming out. I've not got any water in the wastewater at the moment, but just simply pull and that'll allow to dump the water out. Moving on, you've then got your Easy Chef. This particular model has been spec'd with an Easy Chef, which is a barbecue point. Once open, you can then simply slide this out and then use the barbecue, which is just into there. Moving to the back of the vehicle, you've then got your garage area, which once open you can access. This garage is fully heated and insulated, so if you want to put wet things in there, you can do. You've also got, you'll notice, another entry point on the back there, and then a smaller area on the other side. Moving around to the back, you've got your bike rack, which is above here on this specific model, with 4 rails on, and then, as I say, a point into the garage, which is there. Moving around to the other side, as I pointed out, you've got another point into the garage there, and then also your LPG is located next to this area. Your LPG gas, obviously you need to make sure when you're travelling you have it turned off at the bottle due to safety, but then you'll have a pigtail which will connect to your gas bottle, which will then connect to your gas regulator, and then you can turn the gas on and that will feed it through the vehicle. So gas is located there. Next to that area, you've then also got your Truma vent. Now you've got two systems on board. You've got a Webasto heating system and a Truma heating system, and they both do different things, which I'm going to show you when we're on the inside of the vehicle. The Webasto is for purely your heating in the vehicle, so your space heater, and then your Truma system is just for your water heater. So for example, when you're using your Webasto system, you don't need to remove this cover. However, when you're using hot water and things, you do. So when travelling, make sure that this cover is on, and then when you're on site and using your hot water, simply remove this cover, which I'll remove for you now. Once removed, you'll notice obviously it's very similar to, it's just your chimney, it's your flue, and this is where the gas can be released. Obviously that does get quite hot, so just be careful of that. Now what typically happens is you'll forget about that cover, you might leave it on, and when you do it 3 times you need to leave the system and let it settle before doing it again, because you'll in essence just gas the system, so just be careful of that. But obviously make sure that when you're travelling, keep it on, and when you're using the system and you're stationary, take it off. Moving on, you've then got your toilet cassette, which is here. For your toilet cassette, it's very simple. All you've got to do, pull up on this lever here, and then you can remove the cassette like so. The main thing is when removing this cassette is to make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed, because if it is open you won't be able to remove this and it'll feel like it's jammed. This is really important. If it does feel like it's being jammed, you're doing something wrong, always check that blade is closed on the toilet, which I'll show you on the inside of the vehicle. When removing it, as I say, you've got firstly this arm which pulls out, remove the cap, and then it'll allow all the contents to simply flow out. Now to help you with that, you'll notice that you've got an orange button right at the back which releases a vacuum. So when removing all the contents and emptying it, click that button in, that will remove the vacuum, that will activate the vacuum and remove all the contents in one steady flow. You've then got another orange button here. Just leave that in that location, in that direction rather, because that's what makes contact with the blade and allows the cassette to open and close, so make sure that that stays like that. Simply slide that back in, make sure it locks in like that. Slide the arm back in, and then you are good to go. I'll touch on more of the toilet and things with the blade on the inside of the vehicle for you. Moving along, you've then got your fridge vents, which are there, either side of the just either side. It's one thing to note that the fridge isn't like a domestic fridge. You know, it's not as powerful, so it does a very good job at maintaining the temperature, but doesn't do the best of jobs of getting it down to temperature. So just bear that in mind. So for example, if you've got the sun beating on this side of the vehicle, try and turn the vehicle around, because this is obviously where it pulls all the air from and cools the contents of the fridge. So that concludes the outside of the vehicle. We're now going to move on to the inside of the van. Moving on the inside of the vehicle, firstly, you've got your control panel. So, simply turn that button on, which will activate. That's your master switch, that activates everything. You can notice that your lights is on. You've then got your individual buttons. So firstly, you've got your interior lights there, which you can turn on and off. You've then got obviously your separate buttons, which you can turn areas of the lights off. But yeah, your main light button is there. Next to that is your pump. If I click that, activates your pump. Obviously make sure that you only run the pump when you've got water in the system, because if you don't, it'll obviously burn out the pump, so make sure that that is the case. In regards to your pump, what you need to do is when you're on site, select the pump, go to your tap, all your taps including the shower, turn it on and turn it to hot, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull water through the from the fresh water through the boiler and then out through the pipeline and out of the tap, therefore priming the system. Initially it's going to splurt and splutter, and then once it's running steadily you prime your system for the hot water. Once you've done that on hot, flick it over to cooled with all your taps and do the exact same. And as I say, once it's running steadily, you have done it, you have primed your system successfully. Once you've done that, you can leave your pump on, because on each of your taps you've got an isolation switch which will activate the pump only when you require it. So when you turn on the tap, it'll activate the pump just like you would get at home, so you can leave that on. But obviously when you are out of water, make sure that that pump is off. Next to there, you've then got your door light, which is on external to the vehicle. And then below you've got all your indication switches. So firstly, you've got your habitation battery, which you can see is the back of the habitation area in a battery. You then got your vehicle battery. I click that, indicates your level there. And then you've finally got your freshwater, which is there, like so. So freshwater currently full, which is indicated by these lights. When your wastewater is full, you'll get a red light onto here, which indicates that you need to empty it. You've then got finally on this button a brightness setting, so you can alter the brightness of the screen if you want to. That's your control panel. And then above from there, the only thing remaining is your Webasto heating system. So to turn this on, simply turn this all the way to full. Using the green light, that indicates that it's on, and then you'll notice that the lights are starting to flicker. You might not be picking that up on video, but naturally what that's doing is it's heating the system. I'm just going to quickly turn that off, but as I say, turn it on, your lights will then begin to flicker. It'll do that for 15 minutes whilst it's powering up the vehicle, and then it'll allow it to obviously heat the van. Now it's worth mentioning, obviously this works off diesel, so make sure that you've got enough diesel in the van, which you're always going to. And as I say, put it on full first, and then we find with most customers a nice level is just to have it in the middle. When you turn it off as well, it's going to flicker the lights again because that's the cool down, so it's powering down the system, which requires a lot of power. So your lights will then flicker as well, which you're doing now, which I think you can pick up on camera, just like so. Before moving on to the kitchen area, it's worth mentioning all your blinds. You've got fly screens and also blackout blinds, which are there. And you've also got your windows, which you can push out like so and allow the air to come through. To push all the way, allow it to come back or push all the way up, and then you can close it. With these windows, you can have them on venting, so to allow a bit of air to flow through, but obviously make sure that when you're travelling these are all shut, because you don't want a window to be ripped open on the motorway. Moving to the kitchen area, we've discussed about priming your system. You've then got your hobs, so you've got two gas and one electric, and then also your oven and grill, which is there. You've got a bit of storage in these two here as well. It's worth mentioning, you might see, I can't remember whether they're in here, but you'll see somewhere in the vehicle that you've got some grey taps. They're simply your isolation valves, and you don't need to mess around with them. Leave them as they are. They're usually just used by the technicians when we're servicing the vehicle, so leave them open. Don't faff around with them. In regards to just going back to your kitchen area, you'll notice that you've got a plug here, and then also two drop-down bed switches here. To activate your drop-down bed, you've got a key which goes into the top here, into the side, which I'll show you now, which is just there. What you need to do, make sure that is turned to activate the drop-down bed. You then need to come back to this area, obviously make sure that the area is clear, and then by pressing the button you can drop the beds just like that. So that's your front drop down bed like that, and then your rear drop down again. Can we press like so to drop it down? Now these will stop automatically, however with the rear bed it can drop all the way down. To do that obviously you do need to drop the table, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, but as I say, this can actually drop all the way down to the base, whereas with this one it only drops halfway. With your beds as well, with these drop down beds, what we say is keep all your bedding on. What I personally say though is just with your pillows and everything, keep them at the front, but then everything else can stay on the bed. Send them up just by pressing that, and it allows it to go up like so. Before moving on to the lounge area, finally your kitchen area, you've got your solar panel regulator, which is there. Regards to the solar panel, you don't need to do anything with it. That's all been wired in, and that'll just send a constant charge to your leisure battery. And then in the other cupboard, just above your kitchen, is your max view aerial, which is on at the moment. You've then got a switch, which at the moment it's on because you can see that blue light. Just turn the switch off, obviously, to turn it off, and then on, the blue light will indicate. You have got a dial as well, just to play around with the signal on the van. Moving into the rear of the vehicle, you've got obviously your large lounge. In the back, you've got storage, which are all there, and then you have got a bit of storage underneath this seat as well. On this side, as I was saying, to drop the table, you'll notice that you've got your key here. You need to simply put your key in, turn that, and that'll allow the table to drop like so. Obviously you will need to push it into position to make sure it fits, but it's dead simple. And as you can see how I've just done there, just push it the other way just to send it up, and then the other way just to send it down. Just above this area, you've got your Truma boiler, which it runs off EL, which is electric, and then you've got your Truma boiler here, which allows it to run off gas. So very similar and very easy to work. So in the middle, I'm going to use the EL one firstly. So in the middle, you'll notice that you've got this this button here. It's quite hard to see actually. It's like a 0. That means it's off. Above, if I click that, you've then got 1 kilowatt electric, which is indicated by the squiggles at the top of that. And then if I push down, you've got 2 kilowatt electric. So depending on what power you are supplied with on the site, you can obviously select which one you require. Now typically the 1 kilowatt electric is about 40 degrees and 2 kilowatt electric is about 70 degrees. So obviously choose which one you want depending on obviously what you are doing with the vehicle. Just below this you've got the same system. The only difference obviously is this runs off your gas, so allows it to fuel with gas. So when you're wild camping you'll run it off this. Initially you've got at the top 50. You've then got that same 0 which indicates that it's off, and then below that you've got the 70 which is again just for temperature. So if I click that up, it's about 50 degrees, and then down is about 70 degrees. So when you're having a shower, you're going to stick it on 50 degrees, and then when you're washing up and things, you'll stick it on 70 degrees, just like that. Just underneath this area, I've just lifted up the seats, just to show where your boiler is. Now you can actually say, I was just mentioning, you know, before about your grey taps, they're actually red in this vehicle, and these are your isolation valves. Again, just leave them as they are. Now, your boiler looks very complicated, however the only thing that you need to know underneath here is your drain down point. As I say, you've got 3 main drain down points. You've got your wastewater, which is external, along with your fresh water, which we've been over. And the final drain down point is your boiler drain down point, which is located underneath here. So, to drain down this, you'll notice deep in here, which is quite hard to see on the camera, but you've got a yellow switch which is just there underneath. That yellow toggle allows it to allows the system to be drained down. So when it's in the down position like that, the entire boiler is closed, so you can obviously prime the system and run the heating. However, when it's up and it's pointing up, that's going to drain down the entire boiler. Obviously, when you're storing it, you need to always make sure that that is up, because you don't want frozen water in the system. And then when you're using it, flick it down. And as I say, it's quite difficult to see where it's located and on the camera, but it is underneath there. That yellow, it's that yellow switch which is just underneath there. Just put the lights on just so you could try and show you a little bit clearer. It's there, that yellow switch which is just there. As I say, it's in the down position at the moment. Flick it up to open it. Moving on from your drain down point, you've then got your bathroom area. I've talked about obviously priming your shower and your system there. The main thing, as I discussed outside, is your toilet cassette. Now, this silver blade is, as I mentioned outside, your blade for the toilet. So at the moment it's in the closed position. If I push it away from us, it's in the open position, and you'll be able to know that because you can see directly into the cassette once it's open. So during use, you need to flick that open so all the waste drops into the cassette, and then using your flush, which is on the back there on that blue button, click that and that'll flush the system. Once you've done that, you need to pull the blade back just to stop any nasty odours from escaping. And also when you come to remove the cassette, it's also going to get into the habit of making sure that that blade is closed. Going back onto your pump, onto your flush will only work when your pump is activated, so click that once your pump is on and it'll allow it to flush, which is worth mentioning. And then when this is full, this system, you'll get a red light which will indicate on here somewhere, just to show that it needs emptying. Finally, moving on from your kitchen area, bathroom area rather, I did forget to mention your fridge. So finally, the fridge is a three-way system. When we open this up, you notice that you've got all your controls at the top here. As I say, your fridge is a three-way system, which means that there's 3 ways to power it. So firstly, you've got your electric mains, which is here. You've then got your gas symbol, and then 12 volt system symbol there, which is your leisure battery. So when you're going to be using each. So when you're on site, you're going to be using obviously your hookup, which is that cable there. So you're going to select that. You've then got your gas, which is obviously, as I say, just for the gas. So when you're wild camping, you're going to select that. And then finally, you've got your 12 volt leisure battery. So when you're travelling, you're going to select your leisure battery. A lot of people think when they're wild camping, they can run the fridge off the leisure battery. However, that isn't the case. The fridge draws too much power, so it'll simply trip the van. So it can only run off the 12 volt when your vehicle is running, because obviously you've got a built-in alternator with this vehicle. So your engine battery is going to keep that leisure battery topped up. Hence why it can power the fridge. Finally, you'll notice, and this obviously makes it a whole lot easier, you've got an A here, which stands for auto. So when you turn this on, select the A, and that's going to automatically assign whichever fuel you have to power the fridge. So it makes it dead easy, and it means that you won't be in the position of getting an error code or anything. However, if that is knocked off and you do get an error code, you will need to reset the fridge just by clicking this button here. Just in the middle as well, you've got your fridge temperature, which through clicking you can alter the temperature like so. In the fridge, you've got the fridge here, and then your freezer, which is up at the top. That concludes the handover video and the Chausson Travel Line 711. I hope you enjoyed.